Now's our chance, Hilary. We can make fun of Heather all we want.
I hear she smells.
You know, I hear she has a thing for horrible spiders. Like, they're the worst. I can see one now. It's awful.
Yep. I know for a
Terrible.
fact she enjoys spiders.
I wish that owl would swoop down off the paper and eat that terrible Lucas spider. Oh.
Hi everyone! And welcome back to another episode of ZombieBananaSpiders. I am Heather, and with me today is...
Colin!
And...
Hilary!
And it is, or very nearly, Valentine's Day! So happy Valentine's Day to everyone who celebrates and everyone who doesn't. Enjoy the chocolate. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about the history of Valentine's Day with more of a macabre, I like that word, take, before getting into some Valentine's Day horror movies and holiday horror in general. No, I'm going to take that back. Before getting into some Valentine's Day horror movies. So, first, before I get into the history of Valentine's Day, I am curious your guys' thoughts on Valentine's Day.
Go ahead, Hilary, you go first.
Well, I feel like Valentine's Day was made for people who forget to, value, their significant others, so I think that you should surprise your significant other with something nice every once in a while. You shouldn't necessarily need a day to remind you to do that. That being said, having a special day where you take the time out of your lives to recognize your relationship and things like that is not a negative thing. I just don't particularly see Valentine's Day as something that I choose to put much stock in. But I enjoy the horror movies that I watched based around them.
I personally couldn't agree with you more. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I think I'm a decent enough husband. And if you go in to buy a Valentine's Day card, as a man, if you're buying a card for a woman, 99% of the cards start with, "I know I never tell you I love you, but today's the day." And I'm like, who are these cards? What is wrong with you people? Jeez. But that being said, if that is the type of person you are, and that's the type of relationship you have, at least there's Valentine's Day, So that's cool. How about you, Heather?
Nope, I'm with both of you, absolutely. I loved Valentine's Day for the candy. And I would buy myself the candy. I looked forward to the after Valentine's Day sale so I could stock up on candy. My husband and I actually celebrate Darwin Day. It's February 12th. I can't remember. I think that's Darwin's birthday. I can't remember if it's the day he was born or the day he died. But we actually don't celebrate Valentine's Day. We celebrate Darwin Day. So we tend to give each other weird little Darwin related gifts just for some random thing to do in the middle of February when it's dark and cold and horrible outside. But yeah.
I love that. Can we back up a step? Because I gotta ask, what is a Darwin-themed gift that you can get for somebody? Because I'm like, What?
Let
Do
me
you get
go
him a beagle?
Oh, that's a good idea. Let me go see if he has the one.
Do not buy him a beagle. Okay, that's cool. That's cute.
I'll be right back. I want to see if because he usually keeps it on his desk. I'll be right back.
All right, Heather.
Okay.
Darwin themed gift.
Okay,
Hit us up with
Darwin themed gifts. This is probably a little bit too on the nose, but I got Dan this little statue of Darwin with a little monkey inside.
in his brain.
Yeah.
What's in his spine? What is that?
It's a little monkey.
A monkey.
A monkey?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
little chimp inside of Darwin.
As Darwin proved, we've all got little monkey in us. That's wonderful.
And then,
Beautiful sentiment.
and then he got me this little penguin. We named him Darwin. So,
Aw.
so it does span the gamut, but
Dude, that's awesome. I've never heard of Darwin Day, so that's great.
it's fun. But I think like just like any other couple, we forget about it. Like it's we like people forget about Valentine's Day, we forget about Darwin Day. So it's I'm just still there with, you know, the both of you, the sentiment that, you know, you shouldn't just wait till one day of the year to appreciate your significant other.
One thing I always loved is about Valentine's Day is in the Pittsburgh area. I don't remember what year they started this, but Monster Jam, you know, the giant monster truck rally with like crushing cars and loud engines, was always on Valentine's Day. So we never went, but I think that would be a great Valentine's Day tradition to like take your loved ones and see like some big ass truck crush a bunch of cars in a very loud arena. That's beautiful.
I would be down for that. Again, like you said, I'm not real good with crowds, but seeing giant trucks crush other things sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep. Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
Cool. Okay, well, a little bit on the history of Valentine's Day. This was a lot of fun. I kind of want to do more research and stuff like this. I have my notes. But, so according to an NPR article, the origins of Valentine's Day are potentially traced to ancient Rome. So we're talking pre-Christian, basically pre-Western culture, or even like just the start of Western culture, or Western civilization, I guess, maybe. But they connected it to, in this article, the author connected it to the ancient Roman feast of Lupercalia, which I didn't get a chance to look into a whole lot, but basically this was a fertility festival that took place in February where men would sacrifice a goat or a dog. They'd skin the animal, dip, and then like rip the skin apart, dip the skin flaps in the animal's blood, and then go around slapping women with it. And the idea was...
If that doesn't get you hot, I don't know what will.
Right?
Man.
Right? And like the idea was the women wanted to be slapped because that meant it would make them more fertile. Flaps. Yeah, with bloody skin flaps. It would make them more fertile for the coming year. They would bear more children. And so right off the bat, like this, I found this like in the first article I was looking at. So right off the bat, I don't think the idea of like horror Valentine's Day is like too out there. It seems to be there from the beginning, at least from this perspective, right? I mean, you know, if we were all living back in ancient Rome, this would be totally normal.
Yeah.
But another thing that was part of this this feast was there was basically like a matchmaking lottery where all the eligible women would put their names like in a pot, and then the men would come by and draw the names out, and then they would like pair up for the evening, and sometimes they would get married afterwards, sometimes it was just a fling, but that was also part of the fertility rites and stuff. Then, sort of later on, and more connected to like Saint Valentine's, Emperor Claudius II, did I have dates for this? The dates that I found was like 269, 270 AD. Emperor Claudius II executed two guys named Valentine, or Valentinius, supposedly on February 14th. These guys were executed. And there's a lot of, like, from the stuff that I found, there's a lot of discrepancies. Like, some sources said it was 2 people were killed, named Valentine. Another source said it was 3 people. Another source said there were all these guys named Valentine running around that got martyred by the Romans. So I don't know if Valentine was, like, a really popular name, or what exactly was going on. But apparently there were several people named Valentine who were executed purportedly on Valentine's Day, on February 14th. And they were considered martyrs by the Catholic Church, so they were made saints, and they had the day named after them. And again, the discrepancies. Some of the sources said that the reason why some of them were killed did have to do with, like, love and romance. One of them said that it was a priest named Valentine who was martyred because the emperor decided that young men were distracted by their wives and families, so he said that soldiers couldn't get married. Like, he decreed that soldiers couldn't get married. And the priest thought that this was a gross injustice, so he would marry the soldiers in secret. And when the emperor found out about it, that he killed him. So, like, that story, I thought that was related to romance and love and relationships and things like that. But other sources said that the saints themselves, the people who were killed, didn't really have anything to do with, like, the reason they were killed didn't have anything to do with, you know, anything related to Valentine's Day. That also said, one of the sources said that Valentine's Day might also have been the Christianizing, there we go, the Christianizing of Lupercalia. So taking kind of like what the Christians did with a lot of Roman and other pagan holidays, is to Christianize them. So it's possible that that's what was happening. Oh, yeah, I don't have the quote pulled up. Maybe I'll stick it on screen in post. But I found a quote about that, like the Christianizing of Lupercalia, saying that the Christians took it and put the clothes back on. So, just like, it's a feast day, it's a celebration, but nobody's doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Put those skin flaps down.
Right.
You don't need to be slapping nobody with it.
So then another source that I found said that the Normans had St. Gallatin's Day that might have gotten mixed up with Valentine's Day. I think that was another sort of festival celebration. Both Shakespeare and Chaucer wrote about Valentine's Day. I think one source that I read said that Chaucer might have been the first to reference it, like in a poem or in a story.
Okay.
And some of the sources that I read sort of attributed the romantical nature of Valentine's Day to Shakespeare and Chaucer. But what I found interesting, and again, the discrepancy in the sources, is that some sources said that people exchanged Valentine's Day cards as far back as the Middle Ages.
How would that even be possible unless you were ultra wealthy to be able to afford paper, writing, instruments to write with, etc., etc.?
That's kind of what I was thinking, and I think that's what it was. It was the prerogative of the rich. So
Valentine's Day cards in
Valentine's
medieval
Day cards.
times.
Yeah.
I am dubious.
Yeah, like that's what one source said, but another one said that like written greetings, like Valentine's Day greetings to people were very, very old, but the actual written, like, Valentine's Day cards didn't happen till after the 1400s, which makes a little more sense. But again, like, I am not a Valentine's Day expert by any stretch. So it's possible.
Being I could totally see there being one-offs before then, like, you know, it's not like all the nobility are exchanging them, but like one guy gives his wife like a little written note, and I could see that happening for years potentially before, but that would be pretty rare, you know.
Yeah, or like
Until at least like printing press more widely available.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's the what did I have? So yeah, the exchanging written Valentines became more popular after the 1400s, because it was in 1440, don't quote me on that, was when Gutenberg made the printing press, so things became more easily and cheaply available to be printed in Western Europe. So the tradition of giving Valentine's Day cards started in Europe. It came over to the United States. That woman, Esther Howland, began selling the first mass-produced Valentine's Day cards in the U.S. in the 1840s. And then Hallmark cards began mass-producing Valentines in 1913. Oh, and I did have this down. Apparently, according to one source, the oldest known written Valentines that we still have is from Charles, Duke of Orleans, to his wife, and he wrote it in 1415. So,
do we happen to know, or do you happen to have, like, what did that say? Like, I want to know what romance looked like in, you know, that far back. Like, I think that would be fascinating.
I didn't write down if the article quoted. It did say that he wrote it to her while he was in prison, because he was captured at the Battle of Agincourt, and he wrote it to her while he was in prison. So I don't remember if it said what he said, but that was the circumstances. But I think
what year was that again?
1415.
So in 1415, a prisoner captured by an enemy combatant would have had access to paper and writing implements and everything else. That's interesting.
Now, that's
be able to send that.
He was a duke, so that still kind of plays into this is the rich prisoner, like the poor prisoners. I mean, they at that point probably, unless the situation was very unique, they probably couldn't read and write. So, and whether or not, even if they could, if they would be given access to like paper and writing materials and actually be trusted enough to like send something out of the prison. So
that makes sense.
Really fascinating stuff. And then I found out about Vinegar Valentines that very much also tie into the sort of not so nice side of Valentine's Day, because they weren't called Vinegar Valentines right away. They were like mocking Valentines or comic Valentines, but they were popular in Victorian era England. Other places too, like we apparently had them in the States later than in England. Like the source that I was reading said that they sort of fell out of favor, and actually I think the government, the people actually pressured the government to stop the sale and the sending of these Vinegar Valentines late 19th century, but in the States they continued into the 20th century, and I've never heard of these. So back in Victorian era, I think they were most popular. One source said started getting popular in the 1830s into the 1840s. I think they had their heyday between the 1840s and 1880s. So that's around the time that we're talking. But you had nice Valentines that you sent to people that you liked, and you had the comic or the mocking Valentines that you sent to people you didn't like.
Damn.
And these, like, spanned the gamut. Like, I want to find... I'm sorry for my... arrow that anybody watching will see, but I wanted to find this. These were the types of Valentines that were advertised as the types of Valentines that you could get included Valentines that were lampooning, spiteful, heart-killing, and suicidal.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. And
oh man,
this was another way that these so like these were not like secret or anything. Like shops sold them and they had them in great abundance, and people sent these to each other. Like they would just make them themselves and send them to each other before the shops started getting in on it. So it's kind of another way. Some historians are saying that this was kind of another like brick in the commercialization of Valentine's Day wall, because not only would you buy happy Valentine's Day cards, you'd buy like evil Valentine's Day cards too. But there were cards that were advertised as hit 'em hards, and the catalog describes them, and I'm quoting, "If a 2-year-old colt kicks, it hurts. But when a big 10-year-old mule strikes out, it's no laughing matter. These hit 'em hards are our 10-year-old mules, and they kick straight at the weaknesses of poor humanity." And so, like, they had, and like this, I found a 60-page paper written by Annabella Pollen. I will try to remember to link it down because it's fantastic. She writes all about these Vinegar Valentines, these mocking Valentines, and they were like marketed to all different like you could buy one for your neighbor, you could buy one for the town drunk, you could buy one for your wife or your husband, like you could buy one for your kid. Like they catered to every single person that had ever pissed you off. But like they were like they ran the gamut from just kind of like, oh, that's kind of a dig, to like really mean. And I haven't been able to find like any the quoting, like what they actually said. But according to one source, the giving of these cards could sometimes end in violence. Like people would get into fist fights. There were court cases, and apparently, in one instance, a guy shot his estranged wife for her sending him a Vinegar Valentines. So these things were like powerful. And what's interesting is in the paper by Annabelle Pollen, she talks about how she's interpreting them and seeing them as like one way that society like pushed forward the status quo. So, like, she talks about, like, mocking people for falling outside of gender norms, or for falling outside of societal norms. And she really looks at how, like, because then the card, like, looking at these cards as a whole could tell you what the actual societal norms were, and then what people were doing that was deemed as bad to get these cards sent to them. So, fascinating aspect of Valentine's Day that I knew nothing about. And again, like, kind of plays into the tropes or just the genre of like Valentine's Day horror. Because these Vinegar Valentines, they were supposed to be anonymous. Sometimes you did know who was sending them to you, but they were supposed to be anonymous. So you would just like open up the mail on Valentine's Day and you'd get this card from somebody that you don't know who it's from, telling you that you're a terrible person. And yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that is crazy, one. And two, it just shows that internet trolls have been around literally forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild, man. I believe it. Like, could you imagine you're just minding your own business, walking down the street, and someone gives you a card? Like, they don't even say, hey, screw you. They give you a card that in writing tells you how bad you are.
And like,
awful. Well, I know what I'm sending you guys for Valentine's Day this year.
Thanks, Colin.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and like the article that Annabella Paulin wrote, you know, talked about how they didn't always seem to be, especially when you bought them from stores, they'd kind of be like stock images that the mocking Valentines would use, but they were always like terrible, you know, like it'd be some drunk stumbling around, or like a picture of a hag because you send it to a woman to tell her how ugly she is. But she talks about like handwritten ones that were like written on very delicate paper, and it had, you know, beautiful flowers and stuff around, and then inside it's like you smell terrible or something. So it's like, yeah, it's you don't even get like a clue from the outside. It's like, oh look, a wonderful Valentine's. Oh God.
So in my mind, something you said just really struck a chord with me, and that's the, you know, like you go into a Hallmark or a card shop and you're looking and it's like anniversary, wife, birthday, mother, nephew, dad, you know, christening, engagement, or whatever. And then there's like a section, you know, what did you call them? Vinegar. And then it's like, well, let's find town drunk on here. Let's find like neighbor whose dog shits in my yard or whatever. Like, what categories? That's amazing.
And like even
that is
the article, like you mentioning categories, the article that I read, she like lists, because they'd have catalogs of Valentine's cards and they would include all of the terrible ones too. So like, yeah, you'd have different categories of the terrible cards that you could pick from. So many to choose.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's crazy, Heather. Thanks for all that research, because I didn't know any of that. From bloody skin flap slapping to martyrdom to, you know, people writing love letters from jail to Vinegar Valentines. I can see why this is a beloved and romantic holiday, cherished by hundreds of people throughout the country.
Right? I mean, it's a warm place, warm fuzzies.
Speaks to the soul. So do you guys want to get into talking about the horror movies?
Yeah.
Sure.
Heather, take the reins, lead us in.
Okay, so like using that to kind of segue, because honestly, the more that I read about the history of Valentines, the more that I was thinking like horror Valentines movies and books and anything like that, like it's perfectly in line, you know. It's I remember us like talking about, or at least me thinking about the weird cognitive dissonance of like Thanksgiving and horror. Like, to me it just seemed so odd, but like here it seems like why wouldn't you have Valentine's horror movies given all of that? So Hill, do you want to talk about the Valentine's movie
Sure.
that you liked?
Sure. I was just something you said made me think about a quote I heard on YouTube today that somebody was talking about the opposite of love is not hate. It's fear, but I don't know if that's true. I feel like the opposite of love is indifference, but it's interesting to think about it being fear. I never really thought about that before. But so I watched the movie Valentine twice since the last time we got together. Because it came out. When did it come out?
2001.
2001. So I was in high school, and it was right as like The Ring and The Grudge and stuff started becoming popular, I think. So the horror genre had kind of moved from teen slashers to like Japanese horror adaptation type. But so I didn't end up seeing that one because I was like, oh, another teen slasher movie. But it was actually very fun. It was a lot of fun. It's not necessarily a good movie, but it is a lot of fun to watch. It's it's interesting to hear the history of stuff and then like how people adapt. Because I was thinking about this also today, how like holiday horror is like, I don't necessarily think that a lot of these people have an idea for the holiday horror in mind. They're like, okay, Valentine's Day is a holiday, let's make a horror movie from Valentine's Day, instead of like, this would fit really well together as a Valentine's Day horror.
Mhm.
Because I mean, the whole idea in Valentine was that there was kind of I think it was a Valentine's Day dance, and the little boy got rejected by pretty much every girl he asked to dance. And then he found a girl who was not as popular as all the other girls he'd been asking and asked her to dance. And she was like, meh, but then they end up making out. And then they get found by all the popular kids, and the girl doesn't want to be bullied because she's already bullied enough for being kind of overweight or whatever. And so she says that he attacked her when it was very obvious that they were making out.
She was into it.
Yeah. So he actually gets sent away to like a boarding school or like some kind of juvenile detention type thing. And then they skip forward 10 years. It's unclear how old these people are supposed to be honest, because David Baboo is like one of the main characters, and I'm pretty sure he's at least 40 by the time they made this movie.
That is a horror movie right there.
Exactly.
Teens in their 30s.
So, yeah, so it's like it's kind of like a murder mystery where all these girls who rejected this little kid 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years, however long ago it was, start dying. And you kind of think it's this little kid, but then it's been 20 years or whatever, so you don't know what he looks like, and he could have changed his name, but then also could it be like some psycho that took that story and like took on that story basically and was impersonating him or whatever. So and then I don't know, we decided spoilers, right? We were doing spoilers on this.
Let's just officially declare from here there will be spoilers for Valentine.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody thinks that it's David Baboo, but at the end, they unmask. So that's the survivor girl it's the same story as every other horror movie. There's a couple where they think that the dude is probably the bad guy, but he's also the romantic lead. So you're like, hopefully he's not the bad guy. And then the girlfriend is the survivor girl, obviously. And then the group of casualties that surround them. And so you think that it's David Baboo through the whole thing, and then at the end, David Baboo comes and saves the survivor girl, and you're like, hooray! And you unmask it, and it's actually the chubby little girl from the beginning. But or was it? Because because they had this little thing where the killer's nose would always bleed. He's wearing a mask, or she, but the nose would always bleed. So as they're panning out, waiting for the cops by the dead body of the chubby girl, it pans out and David Baboo's nose is bleeding. And so I know. So boy, watch the movie because it's way better than I described it. But
you're pretty good.
I think you did. I think you did.
Yeah. So, Hilary, I gotta ask, what was your favorite kill in the movie? Because there's a couple of different ones.
Actually, and maybe it's not the best kill, but it's because I actually enjoyed the character a lot. Denise Richards is the stereotypical bitch in this movie, and she everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you're such a slut," and "Oh, you're such a bitch," but all she does, every guy in this movie sucks. Pretty much every guy in this movie sucks. It starts out with the first scene is a chick on a date with a dude who speaks about himself in, is it third person, where he calls himself Jason? Yeah. So it's just like they set up this movie for every dude to suck in it. And even David Baboo sucks because he's an alcoholic and he can't just lay off the booze. But I think that I will get back to that. So Denise Richards, all she ever does is stand up for herself and not take shit from dudes. Like the cop that's investigating their friend's death hits on her, and she's like, "Go fuck yourself." And then there's a dude that she met at a speed dating thing, and she calls him, and the first thing he does is like, "Let's go upstairs," and they go upstairs, and he's like, "I got a surprise for you." And she's like, "What's that?" And he drops his pants, and she's like, "Oh, you brought me upstairs to show me your dick. Thanks." And then she ties him to the bed and leaves him there.
Yes!
So I think that her death was probably... I think because he turns her into soup. She's in the hot tub, and he puts the lid on, and he drills some holes through it to scare her, and then he throws the drill into the hot tub and electrocutes her. But he puts the lid back on, so when she is discovered, it's Denise Richards soup.
Yep. Good time.
But there's one thing about the alcoholism with David Baboo, because you assume by the ending with his nose bleeding that he is actually that kid from even though maybe he's not, he may not be, but that's the assumption that I made, was that he actually was that kid from the beginning that got made fun of and then sent off. So his girlfriend is trying to get him to stop drinking, and the killings didn't start until David stopped drinking. So, was that a trigger? Was that how he was coping with everything? And then he stopped drinking and couldn't cope anymore.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm thinking too far into this movie.
No, I love it. Overthinking the most random bits of minutia in horror movies is what we do here.
Yes,
Like, that's
yes.
so good.
It's in our
and what
charter.
a beautiful sentiment. What a beautiful sentiment for the joys of boozing it up. Like, it keeps you from murdering people. Great.
Well, and
That's a really good, I'd never thought about it that way. That's awesome.
And it kind of makes sense too, right? Like from what I understand of the story, if that happened to him and he was so traumatized by it, and then he comes back and he's around the same people, like, yeah.
Well, and he was actually dating one of the girls that turned him down, but she turned him down in the nicest way.
Yeah.
She said, maybe later.
Yeah.
Or not right now, or something like that.
It begs the question, though, that if he didn't intend to kill all these people, why the hell did he move back to the town that he grew up in where all this crap happened? He's 45 years old. He can move anywhere he wants. Like, it's okay, dude.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. But one of the things that he always said, like his little catchphrase, like, that's not cranberry sauce, is, I've always loved you, or something like that. That being said, okay, little boy, you've always loved her, except you asked like 15 other girls to dance that night. So if any of those girls would have said yes, would you have been in love with them forever? I've always.
Shotgun approach,
David.
1, and 2, it doesn't quite sound like he's mentally all there. What with the killing and the drinking, I'm just getting some red flags.
That's true. You're not wrong.
Yeah. I'm so glad you liked it, Hilary. That's awesome. Is this going to be do you think this might be a Valentine's Day tradition for you going forward, the watching of Valentine?
I don't think so, but I do have a movie marathon, usually at least once a year, of all of the teen slasher movies that I love.
Okay, cool.
So we've already, I have to do we did Urban Legend 1 and 2. I have to do Urban Legend 3, but that one, I feel like, actually, Jacob just introduced me to a concept which we've talked about before, but he put a name to it. The whole, or was it you? Well, I guess you mentioned it earlier too, Heather. The whole sequel, but not a remake sequel combination thing, like kind of with the books, but in terms of, I'm talking about My Bloody Valentine. The was it 1981, the first one? The story from My Bloody Valentine, the original, to My Bloody Valentine, the remake, it's kind of a sequel retelling, almost. But it's like the parts that they picked from the original, it's unfortunate because they kind of fucked up the original. Like, the original's still a good movie, but like they fucked up the retelling of it, I think, in my opinion. Because like go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you like My Bloody Valentine 3D and the original?
The original I enjoyed more as a horror movie, and I appreciated it more because their effects were practical, and like the digital effects in the 3D version were not. And I understand like time period and stuff like that, but it is very difficult for me to forgive a movie that is being remade and the effects are worse than the original.
Yeah.
So, but the original they really did try to tie it to Valentine's Day. Like, the town was called Valentine's Bluffs or something like that. And the movie, it kind of, it's around, it was the plot of the movie was surrounding a dance because it's a mining town, and the original story was that these miners got trapped in the mine on Valentine's Day because the people who were supposed to be watching over them ducked out early to go to the Valentine's Day dance.
Oh my god.
So it took them like 6 weeks to dig the guys out, and by the time they dug them out, there was only one dude left alive, and he stayed alive by eating the other dudes. So they put him in a mental institution, and he broke out and came back and killed the 2 foremen that were responsible for not watching over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then that led to the myth in the town of this dude always coming back and on Valentine's Day to make sure nobody was having any kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they made it about the dance, and like that was a big part of the town celebration, was that they had a Valentine's Day dance. And then the remake, I don't even think they mention the town that they live in. There is a dance, but it's not as big of a deal as the original. So I don't know. It's like they could have named it something else.
Yeah.
And it might have been a better movie if you hadn't like tried to force the connection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of connections, but it is a separate film. Like Jacob said, it would be better if they'd named it the remake like Be Mine or something like that.
Well, that works on
It's in a mine.
Story. I like that.
Yeah. But
yeah, it does come across. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say it does come across, because before we were talking about the Dominic Noble in name only clause, where you have a book and a movie where they share the same name, but other than that, like, they might have nothing to do with each other. And when that happens, it really does come across like the remake or retelling, whatever it is trying to capitalize on the popularity and the goodwill of the first one. Like, maybe that's not what they wanted. Maybe they wanted to tell a whole new story, but like, why did you use the same name? And
well, it's definitely that. I saw an interview with John Carpenter, and he was talking about like Rob Zombie doing Halloween, and from what I remember, he was actually okay with it, and he was like, yeah, of course they're gonna keep remaking these movies, and of course they're gonna, like, because that's free advertising. Like, everybody knows that name already.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to spend the money as much money advertising, because everybody knows that name.
Well, and then they know that you're going to get fans that want to see it because it's Halloween. You got random people that have heard, oh, Halloween, that's famous, I'm going to see that. You've got people that want to see it just so they can be like, I know it's going to be bad. I have to go and watch it to see just how much they screw it up. So it definitely makes sense from that financial aspect. It's kind of disappointing. And I feel like with the My Bloody Valentine 3D, they had a lot going for it. Like, I like Jensen Ackles. I love the locations. We'll talk about that later. And the whole setting of a killer in a mine, and they did have some creative kills. Shout out to when that manager of the trailer park gets uppercut with a pickaxe into the light fixtures and fried.
Yeah, I wish she hadn't died. There was a huge kill count on that. Yeah. 30, I think. 30 people died in that movie.
Holy God.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So they had a lot going for it, but yeah, they could have used all those elements to make a great movie, but they kind of focused on the wrong things if you're remaking the original. So I completely agree with you. Did the remake have, do you guys remember, in the original, there's a scene where I can't remember who gets it, but they get like one of those heart-shaped chocolate boxes, and it's got an actual heart in it. Is that in the
Yep.
remake as well?
Yep.
It is.
I mean,
Awesome.
yeah, that's how they tied it, sort of, too. But that didn't even seem important to me when I was watching the movie. What they focused on was the relationship between. So when the bad dude came back from the mental institution and murdered people, in the original, there was a little boy that witnessed the murder, or one of the murders. In the remake, a bunch of them a bunch of like teenagers witnessed the attack on people. So, and that was just a rampage. In the original, he was killing with a purpose, and in the remake, he was just killing. He was in a coma in the mental institution or whatever, and he woke up and killed everybody in the hospital. And then he came back to town and he killed a bunch of people. But there were a bunch of like teenagers partying in the mine, and he comes back to the mine and murders people. And one of the main characters, one of the dudes from Supernatural, is the main character in the remake. Yeah. And in that one, in the remake, he gets his group of friends leave him behind in the mine with the killer because they think he's done for. So they just kind of leave him there. And spoiler alert, that kind of drives him crazy. So that and being attacked by this bad person. So he gets saved, but then he comes back to town 10 years later, just like they always do, as the kill. So essentially, it's the same movie. It's the same movie as Valentine, except Valentine did it better. I'm talking about the remake, not the original. The original, the little boy who witnessed the murders was the killer. He grew up to be one of the romantic leads, and he ended up killing people because he was crazy.
I gotta say, I but like in a weird, they're not very, like, in a almost so bad it's good way. I do like both of these movies, Bloody Valentine and My Bloody Valentine 3D. But yeah, it's like I wish that they were a little more. I don't know. I wish they were a little more something, because I feel both of them. There's just something that's kind of missing in each of them.
Well, I feel like in the original, you don't care about any of the characters, really, because there's no character development. And then in the remake, there is character development, but you don't really like anybody except for the main character, because once again, all the dudes in this movie suck in the remake. Like, she ends up, so Supernatural moves away after he is attacked, and he doesn't come back for 10 years. She ends up his girlfriend ends up getting married to one of the other friends because Supernatural booked it. So he comes back and she's married and has a kid. And the husband's cheating on her, and with the person that works with his wife, and got her pregnant. And then the boyfriend that comes back left without telling her where he was going. He left without telling anybody where he was going. So she thought he was dead. His dad didn't even know if he was alive or not. Like, nobody knew where this guy was. He just left. And so it's just all like, and then like you find out that the sheriff and both of their dads conspired to murder the miner who killed everybody 10 years ago or whatever. So he wasn't actually around anymore because he was actually dead because their parents had killed him. It's like they grabbed things from like Friday the 13th and My Bloody Valentine and like a bunch of different other movies and shoved it all in one. And made sure the dudes really suck. That just seems like a trope in horror movies that I hadn't really realized before, but it just seems like all the dudes suck.
Saying it out loud like that, yeah. Because I think about Friday the 13th movie guys, and I'm like, they're all awful. Like, every one of them. Yeah. That's so interesting, though. Now that you say that out loud, I wonder if these are commentaries on, like, romance in any way, you know? Like very subtle.
Yeah, like I was just thinking that, like, are these intended, or are like intentional or not? Are they coming across now as like morality plays? I mean, like, Scream kind of touches on that in terms of sexuality. It's like if you have sex, you're gonna get murdered, and drugs. But like in terms of just being a good person, because like you don't, it horrible as it sounds to say out loud, when we watch movies we enjoy seeing bad people suffer. So is that why, like, but why is it, because you've got the trope of the female bitch / slut, but if all you've got her and then all the guys are always shitty, like, who are these movies directed towards? Who is the audience?
Well, I mean, there were other girls. There was the stupid girl, and like there were different tropes of girls too.
Sure. But like, are the girls like on the same level as the guys, just being complete assholes?
In their own way, those girls, yeah. Not in My Bloody Valentine so much, but in Valentine, yeah. Bloody Valentine, the other, well, you only like the remake because there's a 5-minute scene of a chick completely nude.
Truck stop? You're talking to me. I thought you were talking to Heather.
No.
Is she like a truck stop or something? I can't remember.
At a hotel, and she's having sex with a trucker, and he taped her, and she gets mad, and she just runs after him with a gun and heels and nothing else on.
What a good dude.
And I mean,
nonchalantly, like, they're so bad you're not even realizing how bad it is. Like, it's numbed you to the badness of all the men in these films.
Well, and the dude that played the trucker was the screenwriter.
Is he really?
Oh wow.
Yeah, of course he was, because that was the scene where he had sex with this chick who had to be naked for 5 minutes. So it was probably like, Jacob said it was probably like 4 days of shooting that they had to do for that she was completely naked.
Hilary, she wasn't naked. She had heels on. You said that yourself. I mean, come on.
That's true. That's true, but they don't often show, not very often do they show full female frontal, and they definitely did extended full female frontal in the remake.
Yeah.
So.
And you wonder, like, why? Because I can tell you, after like 4 seconds of that scene, I was tired of it. Like, all right, like, let's move on with our lives now.
Honestly, it just made me feel like, good for you, lady. Good for you for being brave enough to act while you're completely naked in front of a room of everybody. And then they're going to sell this.
and then it's not even a room. She was outside for a lot of it.
Yep.
Like, so whatever the elements were, if it was hot or cold or whatever, like, that sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
In like 5-inch heels. Her heels were not kind either.
Yeah. Oh man, good times. Good times.
Well,
so guys, any other thoughts on Valentine's Day horror films?
I did kind of want to ask you, like, if we've covered it, that's cool, but I did kind of want to ask, because you were saying you really liked Valentine. Were there certain things about it that you really liked? Did we touch on them already, or was there more you could say there?
I mean, it's really the sense of humor that they have about it. Like, you can feel when people are enjoying making a movie, and when it's kind of a slog. And to me, especially after rewatching, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and Scream and now Valentine, it feels like they had fun making it. And there is a humor to it that isn't forced. I feel like.
Sweet. It's trivia time! Colin, what do you have for us?
Right, guys, I concocted a list of 10 trivia questions about a Valentine's Day. So let's see, because
let's see if we know any answers.
You guys have already answered a couple of them in the course of our conversation.
Well, let's see if we can remember it.
My Bloody Valentine 1981. What is the name of the town the film is set in?
Valentine Bluffs.
Oh, point Hilary. See, I told you. You're off to a great start.
Don't ask me what the remake town's name is, though.
I don't think it has one, actually. From what I've looked, I don't think they ever specify which. Like, come on, guys! Like, that's the easiest damn thing to establish.
Right.
Okay. Valentine 2001. What physical quirk can you use to identify the killer?
Nosebleed.
Bloody nose!
Oh, point Hilary. Heather, you're just not too quick on the draw with that one.
Okay, but...
See, I told you, you guys are going to do great.
I'm going to say, let the record show...
Let the record show what, loser, Heather?
On my end, I answered first, and I control the editing. Anyway.
I think you should have the 2 points appear under Hilary, and right as you say that, one dings away and goes to you. Question 3. Which king declared February 14th St. Valentine's Day in England?
Henry VIII.
Well, poop. I'm going to say...
Edward III.
Very close, Hilary, with that first one.
Edward the First.
No, the first one you guessed. You were very close.
Henry VII.
Oh, point
Henry
Hilary.
the Ninth.
Point Hilary. She brute forced her way into that one, but I'm giving her the point. Okay. In which year was Valentine's Day first introduced in Japan, officially?
1461.
No.
1462.
No, you're in the very wrong century. I said right century about your first answer.
Oh, I'm gonna say
I thought you said very far away from my first one.
1967.
At this point, start at 1901 and just start working your way up, guys. We'll get there. No way. No, I award no point to anybody. The answer is 1936, of course. I mean, come on.
Of course.
I was close.
I was closer.
Guys, what fun, famous event happened on Valentine's Day in 1929 in the United States?
Was that the Massacre?
St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Double points. A massacre of points to both of you. Okay. Valentine's Day 1967. Which famous song was recorded by Aretha Franklin?
Oh, I'm gonna...
Respect?
Good point, Heather.
Oh,
Name an Aretha Franklin song.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I know, right?
Or someone on the street. Name an Aretha Franklin song. They're gonna say respect. Okay. In what year was the best Valentine's Day candy first introduced?
Well, the best candy is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. So...
No, best Valentine's Day candy.
Reese's Peanut Butter Hearts.
Reese's Peanut Butter Hearts. Okay, sorry. Reese's Peanut Butter Hearts. Okay.
This is not a subjective question, guys. This is an objective here. The best Valentine's Day candy is conversation hearts. We know this. There can be no discussion, no brokerage.
But they taste
What
like
year would you-
chalk.
So I
The
would
richest
say
chalk.
early 1900s. 1927.
That sounds
Right
good.
century.
1901.
Oh, wait.
1928.
No, wrong century. Wrong century. Go back a century. I thought you meant 19th century, which is the 1800s.
Okay. 1801.
1801.
No, it's at no points. It's 1866. Okay. What real-life mine was My Bloody Valentine 3D shot at?
Oh,
Shoot.
that I don't know.
My number 5.
My number 7.
That's what it was labeled as.
Nope. I'll give you a hint. I've been there multiple times.
Oh. A mine in Pennsylvania.
Point, Heather! It's the Torred Mine in Tarentum, just outside of Pittsburgh. We've taken so many tours of that when we were kids and whatnot. You get in the little mining trolley. It's like a 4-foot ceiling, so you have to slouch in this thing, and they drive you like 3 miles underground.
Ooh.
It's terrifying. But been there a lot of times, and they shot it in that mine for like 19 days, just filming.
Ooh.
So,
Wow.
yeah. All right. Who has the biggest heart?
The
The
Grinch.
Wrong. It is the blue whale, whose heart comes in at
Oh.
over 400 pounds. So big, children can climb through the ventricles with ease.
That makes
The
sense.
blue whale. Okay. And the last question. What is the alternative title to the 1982 slasher film Hospital Massacre? It also goes by this title.
Halloween 2.
It's gotta be
Nope.
something.
But I like where your head's at. Because that dream sequence that didn't mean anything. It's still good. It's still so good.
Valentine's on a gurney.
Oh, Heather, you're closer than you think. The answer is Be My Valentine or Else. So the 1982 Hospital Massacre goes by the title Be My Valentine or Else. Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Mhm. Good job, everybody. I don't know how many points anybody has because people keep stealing them. But that was great. You guys did terrific.
I am enjoying the trivia that you make up, Colin.
I don't make it up.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Just making up facts. My
Yeah.
Bloody Valentine 3D was filmed in Antarctica. But you guys did awesome. That was fun.
Thank you. Thank you for putting that together for us.
Yeah.
No sweat, guys. I like it. So, recommendations?
Yes, let us do some recommendations. Who would like to go first?
I'll go
Colin,
first, I
you go
guess.
first. You're moving.
Okay, so what do I got? It's Valentine's Day. So if you want to get your girl some flowers and you want to introduce some spicy role playing, I recommend Vampire the Masquerade. Yes, from 1991. The game where you get to be a bunch of sexy vampires running around various cities like Gary, Indiana, getting into all kind of vampire mischief. So it's a good time. I think the system's aged well. The art is amazing in this book if you can find it. And like there's so much lore in Vampire the Masquerade to dig into, but I like it. So who doesn't want to be a vampire and run around and do vampire stuff and just live your vampire life, you know? You just like work at the mini mart night shift and do your thing. Vampire the Masquerade, guys. That is my recommendation.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome. What about you, Hill?
Well, I found a YouTube channel. Well, I was kind of aware of it, but I didn't. I haven't ever watched it before this week, and it's called Dead Meat, and it's this guy here. I don't even know his name. Sorry, dude, but he does a show called Kill Count, and it's basically any horror movie that you could possibly think of, and he goes through and summarizes it, and then tells you how many deaths happened in it, and it does a really good job of summarizing, and it makes, like, yesterday I couldn't sleep and I watched the episodes on all of the sleepaway camps and the remake of Sleepaway Camp, and each episode is only 20 minutes long, so I feel like I watched all of the movies, but it only took me like 80 minutes or whatever. As much as like one entire movie would be. I watched all of them, and it's a lot of fun. So he does a great job, and hopefully I will text you his name so that you can like either put it somewhere, so that, because I'm horrible, but it's a lot of fun. He doesn't blink very often, which is a little disturbing. Like, they edit out his blinks, so I don't know why, but it disturbs Jacob more than me.
that is attention to detail, because I remember I was watching a review of, what is that? Is it? It's a like Dagon? Is that the name of the movie? But it's a take on one of H.P. Lovecraft's stories with the fish people.
Shadows
yep.
over it.
Yeah. And, like, they consciously either edited out or told the actress not to blink, and I think she only blinks once in the entire movie. And it is supposed to, like, give that sort of, like, so if they're doing that on purpose, that's excellent to him.
I don't know if that's what he's necessarily going for, but I don't know. What's that?
I was going to say, I do know that channel. I watched a lot of it. It's even good not to, like, sometimes I'll just listen, and it's nice to just hear things, described or whatever. But I'd tell you dodged a bullet not having to watch Sleepaway Camp 3, Hilary. So
really,
1's good. I love 2, 3. Ooh, man, you lucked out by watching the Kill Count version. And nice. Dagon is a great movie, Heather.
Yeah. Cool. How about you, Heath?
Well, once again, keeping with the Valentine's Day theme, I have this book on faith healers. That's the joke. It doesn't have anything to do with Valentine's Day at all. It's written by James Randi, who is one of my heroes. He is, oh gosh, I think he's still alive? Like, I'm pretty sure he's looked like this for all his life. So I'm not sure how old he is, but he is a magician turned kind of like Penn and Teller, where, like, Penn and Teller worked with him at one point, but, like, he is the OG, where he started, like, what's the word, uncovering, revealing, like, how the fake faith healers do their stuff, because it's all cold reading and, like, magic tricks that magicians use. And so he would go after like the fake faith healers at, like, tent revivals that would say that they could, cure cancer and AIDS, and they'd make you walk again. And he was just like, this is despicable. We can't allow people to be doing this. So he would go undercover and, like, what is the word? There's a word.
Can you describe the meaning of this word you're looking for?
Like, reveal them. He would out them.
Expose.
He will expose them, and he had this running thing where he would, and I think he upped the money account because nobody ever was able to do it, but he started off offering, like, I don't know how much money, like say $100,000 to anyone who could prove their psychic abilities in front of him. And nobody can do it. Like, people tried. They tried, and nobody could do it because he would show them the tricks that they were using. Like, they would come in and try and do all this stuff. He's like, no, stop blowing on that. Or you're moving your hand. Or, like, all this stuff that they would try to do. And he's like, no, I know exactly how you're doing it. And, so this is an old book. I think it was published in 89. Yeah, it was published in 89. But the dedication is just so wonderful. He says, "There was a small boy on crutches. I do not know his name, and I suspect I never will, but I will never forget his face, his smile, his sorrow. He is one of the millions robbed of hope and dignity by charlatans discussed in this book. Wherever and whoever he is, I apologize to him for not having been able to protect him from such an experience. I humbly dedicate this book to him and to the many others who have suffered because the rest of us began caring too late." So, like, that is his whole philosophy towards the people who are doing this and making these promises to people who are really suffering. And he's such a wonderful human being. So, this is the only book by him that I have. I know he's done other things. You can see him on, like, television programs. They've got YouTube clips of him. He's just wonderful. So, I guess my recommendation is James Randi.
And he's the amazing Randy, right?
Right. He's the amazing Randy.
That's right. Yeah. That's awesome. Very, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it.
Have you seen Penn and Teller's show Fool Us?
Yes. I really
That's
like that.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And I love the ones where they actually do. Like, and like, just their reactions. I love how much they love magic. Because, like, they'll still react, and when Teller is stumped, that's just, like, the most precious thing. I love it. I love it.
Think how amazing it's got to be to know all of the tricks and all of this, and to be stumped. Like, that's got to be delightful to them to see something and be like, I have no idea. That's got to be awesome. Very cool. We need to edit this out, Heather, but we need to do a Penn and Teller episode of our show.
I am so down.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be great. A salute to Penn and Teller. The first time I ever heard Teller speak, like on an interview, when I was a kid, my brain just melted down. Because for the longest time, you never saw the dude speak, ever. So.
And I love their, their masterclass video. Like, I've not taken the masterclass, but, like, it will show up on my Facebook or whatever. So, like, I don't even remember what it is if Penn was talking to him first, but, like, it cuts to Teller, and it's like... And then he starts talking, and, like, he's just so good! So, yes.
Yeah.
We should do a Penn and Teller episode.
Absolutely.
Okay, so shall we wrap up then? Are we good?
Play us out, Heather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, after wonderful conversations, wonderful trivia, wonderful recommendations, any last thoughts?
Tell your loved ones you love them frequently. Don't just save it all up for one day. That's my 2 cents. But if you love Valentine's Day, if this is your thing, go for it. Feet first, man. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with romance. Like, go for it. Unless you're a stalker, don't do that. That's the bad kind.
Hear, hear.
I think that's a perfect way to end. Don't stalk people. So, we are
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We are ZombieBananaSpiders. Hilary, where can people find you?
Can find me on Instagram at Horelius_art.
And Colin, where can people find you?
Instagram and Facebook as Colin Richards Art, and you can find me on YouTube as Markers and Monsters. Links to all of that in the description.
Sweet. So, thanks for sticking around, guys, and if you have any suggestions either for future episodes you want us to do, or for Valentine's horror movies, horror books, horror anything that you want to share, please leave us a comment, drop us a line. You can email us at ZombieBananaSpiders@gmail.com, and we will see you next time.
Bye!